So the student for my podcast, his name is going to be Jesus, and he is in third grade. He came up from Mexico with his family. He is new to this school, and it's not a diverse school. And when he gets there, his English is not very good. He's an ELL, an English learner, and in class he has a difficult time paying attention. Sometimes he seems like he's overwhelmed and he gets shut down, and he has a difficult time making friends. Some of the other students in the classroom, they might make fun of him a little bit. They might snicker about the way he dresses because he dresses a little bit different than they do. And also in class, he's also behind a little bit academically because he hasn't been going to school his whole life. And when he does come, he can be frequently tardy or absent. So that is with Jesus, the five insights that I would have for him in order from important to most important is first, his interests and wants. I think it's important for the teacher to figure out what his interests are, how they can get him more involved in the classroom. Number two is feeling accepted. He is having a hard time fitting in, and you want him to fit in with his other classmates. Number three, I think it's important for the teacher to understand the background of the student. That's going to be the best way for the teacher to be able to connect with him and try to figure out what his needs are. And that kind of goes into number four, to try to get the student as much help, make sure that the student is getting the help and schooling that they need, make sure that the curriculum is kind of tailored for that. And then obviously the number five, one I think is most important is for the student to feel safe. And I think part of that is to teach diversity and how good diversity can be in the classroom. And I was able to draw a lot of what I'm talking about from the conversations we had in class and also chapter 1 of the book. And in fact, chapter 1 of the book there was a teacher in there that talked about how he was frustrated because he had a student that like Jesus, who was Mexican, and he felt that the student was bringing down the test scores. And I just think that's horrible. Teachers should be very accepting for any new student that comes into the classroom. One of the philosophers that I really love from the book, his name is Horace Cowan, and he said, this is the United States, and it's a democracy, and people should be able to have the freedom to keep their culture practices, language, values, ethnic identities. They shouldn't have to change what they are in order to conform to the United States. Now, Kellen talks about something called cultural pluralism, and that refers to respecting people from diverse cultures and their way of life. He believed that cultural pluralism was very, very important, that we should respect people from different cultures, and that it helped strengthen our democracy because of the different kind of perspectives and cultures that help mainstream America. There was another philosopher in the reading. His name was James Bank. And he came up with a model that would help teachers. And he had 5 different steps. The first one was content integration. And one of the big things about this is to bring the knowledge about culturally diverse groups into the classroom so that to make students familiar with it. The second thing he talks about is knowledge construction. And this is kind of similar to the content integration. And part of this is helping students realize that history is written by a certain point of view, and most of the point of view is from people that came from Europe. The third step is equity pedagogy, and this refers to the way that the teachers can deliver this knowledge to the students. The next step is prejudice reduction, and this helps students eliminate racism and other types of social oppression in schools, to understand that bias hurts everybody, and to do everything they can to stamp it out. And this helps create the last step, which is an empowered school. If you can follow all of these steps, that gives you a great classroom and help the students feel empowered, no matter from what background they come from. The chapter also explains the ways that help students learn and the way that they learn better. These 3 things are teacher empathy. If they feel that the teacher identifies with them and can feel what they feel, they're more willing to learn. And creating a positive climate. That's kind of what we talked about earlier is they want to feel safe and also to feel trusting relationship. If they trust the teacher, then they're more likely to open up and to be involved. High self-esteem is another thing. Confidence. They need to be confident, because if you're not confident, you're not going to raise your hand. You're not going to ask questions. And also commitment to personal growth. They want to learn. They want to grow. But they need the trust from the teacher and a trusting relationship to make this happen. And that's on the teacher to make this work. Now, the United States is one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world, and I think that's one of the things that makes it just truly great. And to be able to have the opportunity to teach students in these communities that come from different racial and ethnic families can be truly amazing. As teachers, we have the opportunity to help shape what this country is going to become, and we need to do our best to help make students feel welcome, to feel enjoyment, and to want to learn. Some of the teacher attitudes I would focus on is to check for personal bias. I think this is very important. We all might have a bias and not even realize it. Some of the curriculum approaches I would use is to talk about very diverse role models, the ones that they can look up to. People like Cesar Chavez, who was a civil rights leader and also a labor leader, and what he did for the United Farm Workers. He helped raise wages for many farm workers, many who are Mexican American or other immigrant workers. I would also talk about Martin Luther King Jr. and what he did for civil rights. I think the most important thing, though, is for the teacher to set an example and to set a standard, to let them know that bullying won't be tolerated, that discrimination won't be tolerated, to let them understand, like it says in the books, that race is a political and social construct. It's not a real thing. It's just something that's perceived. And that scientifically, there is no basis for race in biology. My name is Geoffrey Demke. Thank you for listening to my podcast.